high res, low res, let's talk about it. So I have this clip right here and I have my source settings all set up. So now I'm going to transcode it, right? From the high res, what it is right now, this original linked Blackmagic Raw Ultra HD, and we're going to make this low res. So now I'm going to transcode it. So I'm always of the mindset of to keep the source's frame rate, keep the source's dimensions, and let's talk about this target video resolution. In AVID, you have some different options. In a sense, the idea of low res is to save space, make a smaller file. So in this case, we're going to go with the lowest AVID codec possible, this LB, and it goes up from there. You can actually see, so we have to hit what drive. So once I have the drive here, you're going to see how much space this takes here. So it's saying this 18-minute clip is still going to be 19 gigs, okay? And let's go up from there. Now 62 gigs. Now, if we go up here, 94 gigs. So it's an unbelievable amount of space, hence the low-res file, hence easier for AVID to edit with. So now I'm going to hit transcode, and we'll talk about this once this transcode is done. Okay, so what I have here, right, is now a low-res clip, DNX HRLB codec, and I have the linked original clip. Now, in theory, I could edit with this linked clip. The issue is that it might cause problems. It might cause slowdowns. It might be hard to edit, whatnot. That's why you want to edit all your clips with this low-res codec. So let's say I made some edits, and, you know, it doesn't matter that it's only one clip. This works for the same exact process if you had 1,000 clips and all different types of low-res things, but I'm working off this sequence now that has this connotation .new1, right? That's letting me know that that's low-res. So the biggest thing and the biggest hurdle I had when I first started doing this, which was recently, for most of my career, I've never had to deal with this high-res, low-res issues. I'm usually working on television. Footage is what it is. It's going on to air very quickly. We don't even deal with this sort of proxy workflow. So imagine now I had this sequence and I was cutting this whole time in this low-res thing, and I said to myself, all right, this is done. I want to make it a high-res sequence to send out to film festivals or whatnot. So the biggest thing for me is I want to make sure this sequence is labeled. Okay, I want this labeled low res, you know, however you want to do it, DNXHRLB maybe. I need this sequence to be really recognizable that this is the low res sequence. So now the issue is I want to make a high res sequence. Now you can do this when you relink, have this setting that says make a new sequence, but I like to do it beforehand. It's just better for my head. And so now I have it, and I'm going to call this high res. And I make sure I double click that, right? You don't want to relink the one that you said low res. That could get very confusing later on and cause you to drink more beer. So now I have my sequence ready. I think it's done. I'm ready to send it out. I'm going to right click and I'm going to click relink. I'm not going to make a video about all the different relink options and things like that right now. But the one thing I want you to think about is I do not want to create a new sequence. I already made the new sequence. The other things I'm not going to go through here right now, but obviously your main thing is you want to get to the highest quality video. That's the whole point. And now when I click OK, AVID's looking for the volumes, looking for the media information. And there it is. It popped into clips in the sequence themselves changed to the high-res clip, which I'm looking up here, that actual linked clip. And now in theory, again, I could play this down. I could make a short edit if I wanted to, but you know, that's the whole point of the proxy workflow, that the system's going to work better. It's going to be much smoother if we do it this way. So now if I match into it, right, and I go to find bin, it's going to this clip, okay? Now, the big difference is here, let me go to the low-res sequence. The low-res sequence had stayed the same, right? So think about this as a workflow thing. Imagine that this was the documentary movie with these 5 cuts, but now someone said, oh my God, we want to change it, whatnot. We want to make a big change. So what I did the first time was I made it on my high-res sequence, and I made my changes. I sent it out, and now the producer said, well, now we want to do another version of this piece. At this point, I can't really go back to my low-res sequence. My low-res sequence doesn't match my high-res sequence anymore. So now the only sequence I have to cut with is the high-res sequence, unless I went back and made all those, you know, minor edits and changes to this original low-res sequence. In a sense, I got stuck on this project where I only can edit with my high-res sequence. And, you know, again, it wasn't the end of the world, but now that made me think for the next time what I would do is always have 2 sequences current. right? So there is no final high res without a final low res. And what I should have done when they told me to do those changes, what I should have done was got rid of that old high res sequence or labeled it something else, right? Version 1 or whatnot. And then did my fixes, my edits, and no matter how small they are, onto the low res sequence. And then I should have relinked again. And that should be the process every time you're working in a proxy workflow, because most of the time, right, the video's not done. There's always going to be changes. But if you don't change it to your low-res sequence and then relink again, what's going to happen is you are stuck with your high-res sequence. Your low-res sequence is useless. It's an old version that you really can't even go back to at this point. So just something to think about with the high-res, low-res workflow. It can become issues that lead you to drink. One funny issue I'll just mention on the side is I had some sort of footage in here, and I was relinking it to the highest quality, and I realized that this wasn't changing. It's because the original footage with the AVID DNxRLB was higher quality than some, like, you know, it was some, like, lame MP4 little clip, that movie that somebody gave me. So that was something that confused me and something to think about right there. So all these things can definitely lead you to drink, and to drink beer on the weekends, because you need to relax. You need to get away from the thoughts of frame rates and editing and all those things. But if you want to spend your weekends drinking beer, learning Avid, then go to avidbeer.com. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.